if you think about walking down a modern commercial street today,
Mhm.
whether you're physically walking through a high-end shopping district or like virtually scrolling through your digital feeds, there's this undeniable expectation of absolute frictionless polish.
Oh, 100%. It's an entirely sanitized environment, right?
Exactly. You see the gleaming glass storefronts, you see these perfectly curated, mathematically optimized window displays.
Yeah, and you hear that algorithmically selected, perfectly inoffensive background music playing softly from hidden speakers.
Right, because everything around you has been meticulously engineered by thousands of data points to be as smooth, agreeable, and, frictionless as humanly possible.
Well, the digital platforms we use every day have spent billions of dollars designing interfaces that are universally palatable and, above all else, safe. They want to ensure that every piece of content you consume is easily categorized.
Totally effortlessly digested.
Right, and completely devoid of any sharp edges that might make you click away.
But imagine you're walking past all those pristine, identical, perfectly safe shops, and suddenly you hear this heavy, unpolished, aggressive, thumping bass.
Hmm.
And it's not coming from a storefront. It's vibrating from a rusted, heavy metal door hidden down a dark, unlit alleyway. In that specific moment, all that safe, polished perfection around you suddenly feels, well, a little bit sterile. It feels lifeless.
Because you're naturally drawn to that noise, precisely because it's the only thing in your immediate environment that feels authentically raw.
Yeah.
It actually demands your attention because it aggressively refuses to blend into that carefully curated space. It acts as a necessary shock to this system.
And that heavy metal door down the alleyway is exactly what we are kicking open for today's deep dive. Welcome in. I want to set the scene for you right now. Today is Monday, March 30, 2026.
Okay.
And just 2 days ago, on March 28th, a highly unconventional, completely unpolished music project crashed onto the scene. We were talking about the brand new album from an artist named Pimp Fee. The project is titled, quite literally, Dirty Nasty Raunchy, and it was released under Brilliant Lab Productions.
A title that, as we'll see, functions as a highly accurate warning label.
It really, really does. Now, to understand how this specific album is making such massive waves in a sterilized industry, we have a really fascinating stack of sources in front of us today.
We've got a lot to get through.
We do. We're looking at a critical review detailing the album's highly unusual rollout. We have the official 9-track document provided by the record label, and this is where it gets incredibly gritty. We have the raw, completely unfiltered transcripts from several YouTube videos hosted on alternative channels like Mastermind DJS and Ghetto Kebble.
Yeah, and we need to set a very clear boundary right out of the gate here. The source material we're pulling from today is highly explicit.
Extremely.
It is raw, it is unapologetic, and it simply does not hold back in its language or its themes.
So I want to clarify for you, listening right now, we are going to be impartially reporting on this explicit content. We are not here to endorse the highly raunchy viewpoints or the explicit, unfiltered street lifestyle depicted in these lyrics.
Right, we are looking at this strictly as an analytical exercise to convey the incredibly unique artistic and marketing strategies at play.
Exactly. We're opening up the hood to examine the mechanics of the engine. We aren't necessarily endorsing the heavy smoke it produces.
That's the great way to put it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore a literal masterclass in digital defiance. We want to understand how an independent artist can completely bypass the sanitized algorithmic rules of modern music distribution.
And turn a massive platform hurdle into a brilliant marketing advantage.
Yes, and build a highly engaged organic audience through sheer unapologetic rawness.
It really presents a compelling case study for anyone trying to build a brand today.
Yeah.
It asks the question, what happens when you actively refuse to polish your rough edges?
So let's dive right into the sonic identity of Dirty Nasty Raunchy. When you look at the official track list delivered by Brilliant Lab Productions, you immediately notice it's a tight, focused 9-track run.
Right.
And every single track is marked with an explicit lyrics warning. This project doesn't just ignore mainstream radio-friendly expectations. As our critical review notes, it kicks the door down with supreme, almost jarring confidence.
I mean, there is absolutely no warm-up track. If you look at standard industry practices, albums usually begin with an intro or like a relatively accessible track to ease the listener into the artist's world.
Yeah, a little palate cleanser.
Exactly. This project completely abandons that methodology.
Tracks like No Filter, No Mercy and Bitch I'm Talkin' establish an uncompromising, highly aggressive tone from the very first second.
Right out of the gate.
Just reading through the transcripts and the official music videos, Pimp Fee is making demands right from the jump. He's telling his audience to slide a credit card under the table. He's claiming he stole the show and declaring that when he drops a track, there's no warning and the first shot's a hit.
The level of bravado is staggering. He's essentially planting a flag in the ground and daring the listener to either get on board or get out of the way.
And that bravado reaches a bizarre, almost comical peak of aggression on the track, Circus Titties.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that one.
The lyrics here are wildly explicit, but they're delivered with this intense, battling energy that feels more like a combat sport than a romance. Pimp Fee literally likens his bedroom skills to a violent boxing match.
Right.
He boasts about showing a new move, which is an uppercut. He claims he's going to fuck up your ribs like boxing and secure a technical knockout.
It's wild.
He even goes so far as to claim his performance is really clearing toxins.
I mean, the imagery is absurd and highly graphic, but from a purely analytical standpoint, it is incredibly memorable.
That really is.
It sticks in your mind long after the track ends.
To me, this entire album's lyrical style feels exactly like a modern-day digital speakeasy. It's loud, it's completely offensive to polite, algorithmic society.
Yeah.
But it acts as this massive magnetic force for people who are desperately looking for an unfiltered escape from overproduced pop music. It's a specialized space where the normal rules of decorum just do not apply.
What's fascinating here is the sheer intentionality behind that shock value. If you only look at the surface, if you hear a track called Circus Titties with lyrics about clearing toxins via an uppercut, it's very easy to dismiss the entire project as pure mindless provocation.
Right, like a cheap gimmick to get gasps.
Exactly. But when you synthesize the rest of the source material, that assumption completely falls apart. There is a deep, calculated strategy at work.
But wait, how so? Because if I'm an artist trying to make a living, my goal is usually mass appeal. I want as many streams as possible. By leading with lyrics this abrasive, isn't he just actively alienating 90% of his potential audience right out of the gate?
Yes, and that alienation is the entire point.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Look at track number 1, Speaking Spanish Part 2, featuring Kaylor. According to the critical review, this track brings an entirely different, highly nuanced flavor to the project.
Okay.
It blends a hypnotic, atmospheric vibe with this infectious, bilingual energy. And when we examine the raw transcripts for this track, a very grounded narrative unfolds. He's talking about reuniting with an old Spanish chick. He's reminiscing about how they used to cruise together, how they used to move through the city.
Oh, I see what you mean. The lyrics specifically mention how she speaks English now, and he details dealing with a messed up phone, avoiding husbands, and the reality of people moving away.
Right.
It's actual grounded storytelling. It shows real vulnerability.
And that vulnerability proves there's genuine musical ambition and narrative depth beneath the provocation. We see that same hunger and drive on tracks like I Need It All and that fire.
Yeah.
The raunchiness isn't a crutch to hide a lack of artistic ability. It's a highly calibrated, deliberate artistic filter.
A filter for the audience.
Precisely. Pimp Fee is intentionally using this gritty, offensive, street-level realism as a barrier to entry. He's filtering out the casual, easily offended listeners to purposefully isolate and attract a specific, highly engaged core audience.
Wow.
These are fans who value raw authenticity far more than they value industry approval. By pushing away the casual masses, the 10% who actually stay become fiercely loyal. He's daring the algorithm to shadow ban him, which only validates his underground status to his true fans.
Okay, so building this loud, offensive digital speakeasy works brilliantly as a filter for true fans. But you can't invite people to your underground speakeasy if the city planners literally wipe the roads leading to it off the map.
True.
Creating highly explicit, uncompromising content is only half the battle. Distributing it on heavily moderated, algorithmically driven platforms is a completely different, much more difficult challenge, which naturally leads us to the most bizarre aspect of the Dirty Nasty Raunchy rollout.
The YouTube distribution anomaly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our sources show that the album was successfully processed and delivered to standard streaming stores.
Yeah.
If you go to Spotify or Apple Music, it's thriving normally in its 9-track format.
Right. Totally standard.
But YouTube did not distribute the album in the standard track-by-track format?
Yeah, according to the critical review, for reasons that remain entirely unclear, the standard algorithmic ingestion failed or was blocked.
Right. Instead of a typical rollout where fans can click on their favorite song, the full album exists on YouTube as a single, continuous video drop.
Right.
And it isn't even on a polished VEVO channel.
Yeah.
It was uploaded to a gritty channel called Ghetto Cable.
It's so strange.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because everything we are taught about the modern attention economy says this should be a disaster.
No, absolutely.
I mean, I've always been told that if a web page takes 3 seconds to load, you lose half your traffic.
Yeah.
We live in an era where attention spans are measured in microseconds.
Yeah.
If you don't have separate tracks, you can't get on individual user playlists. You can't get those quick, viral 15-second TikTok hits.
Yeah.
If I see a massive 45-minute unskippable wall of content from an artist, I'm clicking away immediately. How is this continuous video format not just him bleeding out his potential audience?
Because it triggers the concept of underground mystique, which the critical review highlights beautifully. When you, as a listener, encounter a single continuous hour-long video on a channel with the name like Ghetto Cable, your brain doesn't process it as an official corporate release.
Right.
It immediately feels like you've stumbled onto a leaked bootleg. It feels unauthorized. It feels rare.
It feels exactly like that heavy metal door down the alleyway. You feel like you found something you aren't supposed to see.
And that feeling completely changes your listening posture, because fans can't just casually pick and choose tracks or let an algorithm shuffle them into a generic rap playlist. They're forced into an immersive front-to-back listening experience. It perfectly replicates the feeling of buying an old-school physical mixtape out of the trunk of a car in the late 90s. You put it in the tape deck, you don't have a skip button, and you just have to let it run.
You literally have to earn your way to track 4 by sitting through tracks 1, 2, and 3.
And this ties directly into the mechanics of digital friction. The massive tech companies we discussed earlier spend billions to remove friction. They want the algorithm to just wash over you passively.
Sure.
But this accidental distribution hiccup actually introduces massive friction, and that friction forces active, intentional listening. If you press play on that full album video on YouTube and you stay, you are committing to the complete sonic journey. You are locked in.
But what does that do to his actual metrics? I mean, does YouTube penalize him for that?
Quite the opposite, actually, if his core audience stays. The YouTube algorithm is heavily driven by a metric called session watch time. If a platform sees a user click a video and stay locked in for 40 straight minutes without clicking away, the algorithm registers that piece of content as incredibly valuable. It might not go viral to the mainstream, but the algorithm will aggressively serve it to other highly engaged hip-hop fans.
Wow.
That level of forced commitment builds a much deeper structural bond between the artist and the audience than a casual stream on a background playlist ever could.
That reframes the whole situation. The friction isn't a bug. It actually acts as a feature that filters for the most dedicated fans while potentially hacking the watch time metrics.
Exactly.
But trapping an audience in a continuous hour-long video only works if you give them a tangible, immediate reason to stay invested in the world you're building.
Right, they need a reward for sticking around through the friction.
And this perfectly transitions into Pimp Fee's overarching visual and merchandising strategy. Because when you actually sit down and read through these raw video transcripts, what initially looks like a chaotic stream of explicit consciousness is actually hiding a brilliant, incredibly scrappy business mindset.
The guerrilla marketing tactics embedded seamlessly into these videos are phenomenal.
They really are. I was reading the transcript for the No Filter, No Mercy music video. He's rapping aggressively about stealing the show, chopping clips, running the game.
Yeah.
And then right in the middle of this intense track, the transcript literally reads, "Check out these Pimp Fee crop tops, only $45, low cut and stylish, perfect for the summer." And then, without missing a single beat, it goes straight back into a mic check and the song continues.
He treats his own raw, underground music video like a direct response infomercial.
Yeah.
He isn't waiting for a sponsor. He is the sponsor.
It's incredible audacity.
Right.
But the strategy doesn't stop at just selling merchandise. Pimp Fee is actively cultivating a wider, off-platform ecosystem. In that exact same video transcript, he drops a massive hook to keep his audience on the hook. He announces 3 more videos coming next week, so subscribe to these channels for more.
Standard YouTuber stuff, right?
But then he says something highly strategic. He tells the camera, "There's some things that we can't show you on this site, but if you search Pimp Fee from these other sites, I got a surprise for you."
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this specific moment is an absolute masterclass in cross-platform funneling and understanding algorithmic mechanics.
Break the mechanics down for us. Why is he telling them to search for him? If he has a private site with NSFW content, Why doesn't he just put a clean, clickable hyperlink in the YouTube description box below the video? That would remove the friction, right?
Because putting a link in the description actually hurts him algorithmically. YouTube, as a platform, exists to keep users on YouTube. Their primary goal is to serve ads.
Of course.
If a creator puts an external link in their description that takes a user off the platform, the YouTube algorithm often penalizes that video by suppressing its reach because it acts as an exit sign from their ecosystem.
Oh, wow. So by verbally telling his fans to open a new tab and actively search for his explicit content, he bypasses the algorithm's outbound link penalty entirely.
Exactly. He's using YouTube's own strict community guidelines as his primary marketing hook. He knows YouTube is a public, sanitized space. By explicitly teasing NSFW content, things that we can't show you on this site, he's acknowledging the platform's restrictions to his audience and using those very restrictions to create massive FOMO, or the fear of missing out.
He's basically leaning into the censorship.
Yeah.
He's saying, if you think the music on this heavily moderated site is wild, you should see what the corporate censors won't let me show you.
Precisely. And if we bring back your speakeasy analogy, this is the moment he hands the listener the secret password. The public YouTube video is the alleyway. Forcing them to manually search his name on other browsers is the knock on the heavy metal door.
I love that.
By making them work to find his unlisted sites, he's successfully migrating his audience from a public, moderated algorithm where he doesn't own the relationship into private, unmoderated domains where he has total ownership, total creative freedom, and most importantly, direct monetization control. He took a tech platform's restriction and turned it into an exclusive velvet rope for his own private club.
So what does this all mean? For you, the listener, whether you are trying to build a corporate brand, launch a new tech product, or create independent art, the rollout of Dirty Nasty Raunchy offers a profound lesson in defiance.
Truly.
The core takeaway today isn't about explicit rap music, and it certainly isn't about just relying on shock value. It's a masterclass in extreme, uncompromising authenticity. Pimp Fee proves that leaning heavily into your unpolished, raw identity, rather than trying to desperately sand down your edges to appease a mass-market algorithm, creates a much stronger gravitational pull for the audience that actually matters.
Yeah.
He showed us that you don't need perfect platform support, individual track metrics, or algorithmic favor to win. Sometimes, looking at a distribution hurdle and turning it into a unique, immersive, slightly difficult consumer experience cuts through the noise far better than playing it safe.
This raises an important question, one I'd love for you to truly mull over as you go about your day. We live in a digital landscape where every creator, every marketer, and every platform is desperately trying to remove all friction to appease the almighty algorithm.
Oh, definitely.
We're obsessed with making everything one simple click away. But could intentionally adding friction making your audience work just a little bit harder to experience your content, forcing them to hunt for your unlisted sites, or requiring them to sit through your unskippable hour-long videos, actually be the ultimate secret to filtering out the noise and building a truly loyal cult following?
It's a powerful thought to leave on. Maybe the most valuable, lasting connections aren't found in the pristine, brightly lit, completely frictionless storefronts on the main commercial street. Maybe, if you want to find an audience that actually cares about what you are building, you have to force them to walk down the alleyway, find that rusted metal door, and actually listen to the bass.